bring me prisoner 24601. Your time is up.
You know, I'm liking the movie and all, but it doesn't make much sense, does it?
What do you mean?
Well, why are they singing at each other? And badly for that matter.
Well, they're not literally singing, it's all non-diegetic music.
Oh, I've heard of that before. It means the music, like, is it real, right?
Yeah, basically.
So all songs and musicals are like that?
Now that question is a bit more complicated. See, the differences between diegetic and non-diegetic music have fascinated me for quite a bit. I mean, I discuss it pretty thoroughly in a video essay I made earlier. Non-diegetic, or unreal music, covers everything from movie scores to dramatic sound cues.
Wow, it is absolutely gross. Wow.
While diegetic music is any music that's playing literally, like a jukebox playing in a bar fight or something. She's living, she's golden. Like that Mission Impossible scene, where Tom Cruise has to foil that opera assassination before the high note. Or how about all of Baby Driver, where almost all of the soundtrack is actual music playing that the characters as well as the audience are listening to. Recently, I had a thought. While numerous examples of diegetic music used effectively spring to mind for me, I struggled to think up too many examples of diegetic songs included in musicals, which just felt wrong, you know? Like, the medium that is completely centered around music should have examples of this sort of thing that spring to mind, right? While that was my first thought, it makes sense that most musical numbers are distinctly unreal. After all, musicals are about constructed reality, portraying these conflicts and warring emotions through the guise of a catchy song. Jefferson and Hamilton are not actually rapping about political conflicts. Jean Valjean and Javert aren't actually belting their opposing moral views, and Ryan Gosling isn't actually a good singer. Though initially seeming lacking in number, I thought I'd have a go at identifying some noteworthy examples of diegetic songs in musicals, compile them, explain them the best I can, and have a great time doing it. This is by no means a comprehensive list. In fact, please drop any examples you can think of in the comments below. I loved researching this one, so I'm eager to see more. Enough preamble, let's get into it.
So we're just, like, done watching Les Mis?
Yeah.
Okay, see you later.
Yeah, bye.
Alright, let's go.
Starting off simple, take a look at 1959's Sound of Music, though the 1965 film adaptation is much more well known. In the movie, the main character Maria is sent from her nunnery, where she tends to be a troublemaker, to be the governess for the Trapp family and their 7 children. While the kids' father, Captain George Von Trapp, is away, Maria makes clothes for the children and teaches them how to sing. The iconic song Do Re Mi is a diegetic song, meant to teach the children the different notes on the musical scale. Its near irritating catchiness makes perfect sense in universe, as any good educational number should stick around in your head. The beautiful ballad Edelweiss is also such an example. Captain Trapp sings this ballad as a statement of Austrian patriotism in the face of the pressure put upon him to join the navy of— Oh my goodness!
Squidward!
Okay, full transparency time. I had never seen Sound of Music prior to making this video, and like a bozo, I decided to read up on the plot instead of, watching the thing. Let me tell you, my jaw has never dropped reading a Wikipedia article like it did when I checked this one out. I thought this movie was like some boring-ass snooze fest my mom used to watch, but this plot unironically goes so hard. From the same decade, how about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? In an effort to escape an upset customer, dodgy inventor Caractacus Potts strikes up an impromptu song and dance number called Me Ol' Bamboo, about all the different uses you can get out of a bamboo stick. The number is bombastic enough not only to deter the angry customer, but to earn Caractacus enough tip money to buy the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
You use a sturdy pole to protect their fair complexion. Ladies use a parasol.
I did actually watch this one as a kid at my grandma's house, but I just remembered being boring. Though it does remind me of my grandma, so that's cool. Actually, hold on. Play it back. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a Family Guy song. Sorry, Sherman Brothers. Looks like Seth MacFarlane did you one better. Don't worry, you're not the only ones. For some gobsmacking reason, Family Guy has this uncanny talent for borrowing musical numbers from other properties and just using them better. Like, look at Shipoopi. In the movie musical version of The Music Man, Shipoopi is about halfway through, sandwiched between more impactful numbers, and it doesn't really mean anything at all. It's just an excuse to have a big dance at this point in the show. In Family Guy, that's the best part of the episode. Peter finally triumphs in the face of Tom Brady's scorn, and if that's not worth celebrating, nothing is. The performance by Buddy Hackett also just rubs me the wrong way, and if you're getting outclassed by Peter Griffin Family Guy, it's time to hang up your singing shoes.
A little old Sal was no gal as anyone could see. Look at her now, she's a go gal who only goes.
Sal's a no gal as anyone could see. Look at her now, she's a go gal who only goes for me.
A final, very specific comparison where Family Guy comes out on top. In the movie musical version, the little breaks between chorus and verse, where the chorus goes like do, re, mi, and so on, aren't accompanied by anything. No fun shots or cinematography.
Beg your pardon?
I don't think it's the fault of anyone in particular, though. Without going super hammy, there's only so much you can do in live action. Animation has no such restraints. The same bit in Family Guy, he conducts the whole stadium. The number is just so fun, I kinda love it.
Sure, if you beg your pardon.
One advantage that the movie version has, dance breaks in an animated show are inherently uninteresting to me. Like, it's not impressive when Brian and the baby dance on the bongs. There's no dancer's technical skill there, come on. Oh, you guys aren't getting bored, are you? Don't worry, I've got a thing for that. There we go. Mr. Booze has always been my favorite Family Guy song, and I didn't even know for the longest time that it came from something else. It's from Robin and the Seven Hoods, which again is kind of outdone by Family Guy. In the movie, it's all in this really tiny sanctuary. There's virtually nothing to be done that could add more energy. The Family Guy version is snappier, funnier in my opinion, and just lends itself better to keeping this really high energy throughout the entire scene. That is not how you play a trombone. You had this right just a second ago. What happened? I was curious as to just how many of Family Guy's musical numbers were lifted from other works. But as I refused to actually watch through Family Guy, barring a gun jammed into the back of my head, I opted for a different approach. We'll use the people's voice. In Gaming 5 Tuber's internet classic Top 10 Family Guy songs, a whopping 5 out of 10 are unoriginal songs, either parodies like Bag of Weed or basically homages like Shipoopi. How creatively bankrupt must Family Guy be for the unapologetic, incredulous Music Man reference to be filled with an infinitely larger amount of love and passion than the actual parodies you write? Anyway, the Family Guy brain rot is real, and I'm sick of thinking about it, so let's just break this down already. The pattern that I reasoned out, and maybe you've noticed the same thing, is that whenever there's a Diegetic song, there's usually some sort of informational dissemination, be it true or some sort of deception. In Sound of Music, the Diegetic songs are songs that you'd hear in real life, like the lullaby like Edelweiss, or informational songs like Do Re Mi. Me Ol' Bamboo is meant to be catchy and distracting, overwhelming the listener with all the uses of this simple stick. Shipoopi in its original context was meant to do the same thing in the story. Mr. Booze is a humorous way the heroes get out of a jam, either by fooling a rival gangster or fooling the Joe. This whole trend turned out to be a lot more simple than I expected. By taking advantage of the bombastic nature of the musical number, both deception and education become all the easier. Maybe that's why Schoolhouse Rock is still so iconic. Shit, why didn't I make that the video? Just one more step on our musical journey, and it's a doozy. Because we can't talk about Diegetic music in a musical without mentioning the Phantom... yeah, that guy. So, small confession, I am a big fan of the Phantom of the Opera. I know it's not really a good adaptation, I know it's hammy and so deeply unserious, but I don't care. I had to explore this unique opportunity. See, of all the huge musicals you typically hear about, Phantom is actually set in an opera house. If any show would feature multiple Diegetic songs, it'd be this one. So let's speedrun through the show's major musical numbers and see what we learn. First up, Think of Me is a Diegetic number. It's pretty transparently just the big song that the lead of the in-universe opera is meant to sing. It's funny because I feel like the song was definitely written to function as Christine singing about her past relationship with Raoul. So like in universe, it's just a big coincidence that this number Christine got to sing works perfectly as a personal ballad. Cool. Don't you love when thinking more about the things you like make them seem worse? Next up, I'm pretty sure Angel of Music isn't a real song. It's just the manifestation of the spooky yet mystical energy the Phantom lends to any interaction he contributes to, even inadvertently. Little Lottie is diegetic, as it's the childhood rhyme Raoul and Christine shared as kids, but it's the most inconsequential melody in the entire show. I'm pretty sure Andrew Lloyd Webber forgot about this song when he was writing the entire show. The Phantom of the Opera title song doesn't feel diegetic in its first appearance, but in the climax the angry mob chants the chorus. So I feel like it was kind of a wasted opportunity to introduce the leitmotif somewhere before the big rock song, so the chant later is contextualized as part of the opera house's gossipy ghost stories surrounding the mysterious phantom. Whatever. I definitely believe Music of the Night is diegetic, and here's why. It feels so slimy if the Phantom of the Opera, this 30 to 40-year-old man, gaslights and kidnaps this impressionable 20-year-old opera houseworker and basically hypnotizes her to fall in love with him, all with the power of music. The idea is simply too corny for me not to believe. And you better remember this because it will be important later. Wrapping up the first act, I don't think Prima Donna or All I Ask of You are real songs. It wouldn't make sense and whatnot, so let's just skip to Act 2. Starting off strong with Masquerade, which I don't think is diegetic. After all, it doesn't make sense for all of these partygoers to know the same song and participate in an elaborate dance number complete with weird mask breakdancing. And the verses, would they be diegetic too? The more you think about it, there's just no way that really works. Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again is the strangest part of the show for me. Why is there this graveyard break when the tensions are growing higher back at the opera house? When I think of scenes from The Phantom of the Opera, I never think about the graveyard scene. Oh, and I don't think the song is diegetic. There is this weird bit at the end where Christine sings the Angel of Music motif. And I've always been confused as to what it meant, you know? Les Mis gives me similar thought cramps sometimes, because there's a billion repeated leitmotifs and it's hard to pinpoint the exact meanings of each one. Perhaps in Phantom, this is when Christine realizes that she only idolized the Angel of Music so much due to the absence of her father? Again, I don't really have a good idea. The point of no return is most assuredly diegetic music, and those that know the show should know why. When the first part of the song is being sung, it's part of an in-universe performance of Don Juan Triumphant, an opera written by the Phantom. That makes this steamy erotic duet literal self-insert fanfiction the Phantom wrote to perform alongside Christine. This man is literally the biggest incel I've ever seen. Speaking of Don Juan Triumphant, there are bits that I'm pretty sure are only in the movie version, where it deliberately shows that the opera audience thinks the opera is shit, and like, why? You really had to make it clear that the Phantom was a crappy writer? Was that even the intention? Anyway, the sewer reprise isn't diegetic, big shocker. One last song, The Music Box. Music Box. Music Box. 100% homegrown diegetic. Easy, and we're all... Hold on a minute.
Masquerade, paper faces on parade. Masquerade.
Why does the Music Box play Masquerade? What does that mean? Was the Masquerade song diegetic? No. We already agreed that wouldn't make sense. Besides, that music box is from Persia where the Phantom came from, so it double doesn't make sense. I mean, I know why. It's because the Phantom was always wearing masks because his true self was too hideous to be loved. I don't mean his face, by the way. But why doesn't the music box play a different, actually diegetic song here? Like Music of the Night. Think of it. Wouldn't it make the character of the Phantom so much more pathetic if it was revealed he plagiarized the melody for his personal love song? We already established he's actually really bad at what he claims to be great at back with Don Juan Triumphant. And wait a minute, back in Masquerade, he just ripped off his entrance from a Poe story. So which is it, Phantom? Are you a brilliant artistic mastermind? Or are you just a cold-hearted, plagiaristic, lonely, pathetic murderer?
10 years
All this thinking about the in-universe roles the different songs in Phantom of the Opera play has made me realize that I'm pretty sure I've put far more effort into thinking about it than Andrew Lloyd Webber ever did. So like, if there's any theater buffs watching this, please let me know in the comments. Is Andrew Lloyd Webber still like a respected person in the scene? Because like, he just put out Bad Cinderella, which I think everybody agreed was kind of bad, right? And you know, whenever you talk about Andrew Lloyd Webber, you have to mention, oh, he made Cats and he made Phantom of the Opera. And it's like, yeah, he made Cats and he made Phantom of the Opera. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later.
Het enige wat je nog ziet is geweld in films en seks op tv.
Waar zijn die ouderwetse waarden waar we vroeger op rekenden? Gelukkig is van mij.
Follow to the letter your itinerary. The smog will shame you until you die. It shows you're a dangerous man. I stole a loaf of bread. My sister's child was close to death, and we were starving. You will starve again, unless you learn the meaning of the law.